be tolerated any longer. Let's bring in Behnam Ben Taleblu, Iran's program senior director and senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Also with us, Colonel Tony Shaffer. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Behnam, I want to start off with you. What does this mean for Iran now that Maduro is out? What does this mean for Russia? What does this mean for China? We know China is the biggest consumer of Venezuelan oil.
Well, this is incredibly important, not just for countering drug trafficking, not just for security in the Western Hemisphere, but for American competition with some of the most anti-American, oil-rich authoritarian states that exist on the planet, like the Iranians and the Russians, or we should say the Putin regime in Russia and the Islamic Republic in Iran, because both countries have had deep ties with Venezuela. When you look at the Iran case in particular, the ouster of Maduro and the successful military operation there comes amid multiple days, now a little over a week, of anti-regime protests by the population. And that's something that the Iranian leadership, the government of the Islamic Republic, should keep in mind, that these are options that the U.S. has on the table. You know, President Trump has done things that no U.S. president has done before. We are right now in the 6th anniversary of the U.S. killing Iran's chief terrorist, Qasem Soleimani. 6 months ago, the U.S. destroyed Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. So never say never when looking at what President Trump can do. And if you're an anti-American leader out there, this should be cause for concern.
Colonel, we're seeing protests in Iran. The president has come out and said that he does not want a protester to be killed and that they're locked and loaded. Of course, the last thing, I mean, most Americans want. We have our own problems here in the United States. And, you know, when we hear boots on the ground, we hear kind of statements like that. Venezuela and Colombia, he's warning Colombia, better watch your behind. Mexico, Cuba, Rubio was on Meet the Press, said they should be on alert as well, that the government isn't, you know, the Trump administration is not happy with Cuba. How do you allay those fears to people sitting at home saying, you know what, we don't want another Afghanistan. We don't want another Iraq.
Yeah, I think part of what he's doing, President Trump's doing, and what I think we all support him doing, is getting ahead of things. We don't want those things because I would argue many of the tragedies and conflicts we got into the middle of were based on miscalculation. Iraq, Afghanistan staying after the first year, a number of things we could discuss if we had more time. With that said, Lydia, we've done things in and out quickly and effectively in the past. We did something called Just Cause in 1989 against Manuel Noriega. We captured him. Panama's Panama. We're still there and an ally with them. We've actually done other very dramatic captures of individuals and leaders. So I don't think we have to worry that President Trump's going to put us on a path to a prolonged conflict. With Iran, real quick, we've had plans, Lydia, going back to the 80s, a spectrum of plans for military operations against Iran. So all I'm going to say about Iran is if President Trump decides to do something, the mullahs are going to regret it. I don't know what it would be exactly, but there's a ton of options on the table. And as you pointed out, President Trump, unlike other presidents, has something called political will. He's willing to use he's willing to have political will to do the hard military things that others are not. And I think he's picked a great team to do it because so far they're doing a very effective job of supporting his national security objectives.
Behnam, before we go, what do you think this means for the Ukraine war? Russia, we know that they've been behind. They get help from Iran and Venezuela. Xi Jinping, Putin, and Ping have both condemned the overthrow.
Well, no doubt the club of bad guys, or as we like to say at FDD, the axis of aggressors or the axis of authoritarians, is condemning the move because they just lost a major state partner. Make no mistake, Iran, for example, had the Assad regime in Syria as a state partner, lost that in December 2024. Now they lost their state partner in the Western Hemisphere, the Maduro dictatorial regime in Venezuela. So no doubt anti-American countries right now are afraid. And I think this might be the beginning of President Trump and his second administration seeing the connective tissue between this club of anti-American authoritarian aggressors, because I think that kind of state-level competition is going to define the threats and the challenges we face, including to our homeland in the 21st century.
All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it right there. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Thanks, Lydia.
Thank you.